With the full release of Grounded getting closer, there is more and more speculation about which, if any, new insects or creatures will be added to the game, and if so, which are most likely. One that has been mentioned based on some items found in the game files is an Orchid Mantis. In this video, I'm going to look at the evidence we have right now and determine whether or not this particular insect fits in the Grounded backyard. Before we begin, I want to thank King Bling Blog Gaming, Matthew Campbell, Stephen Van, and all my other channel members who help make videos like this possible. You can become a channel member today and directly support the channel as well by clicking the join button below or the link in the description. Thanks again to all my channel members. Let's get started. So as I mentioned in the intro, there's been lots of speculation about which, if any, creatures, insects, bugs, etc. could be added between now and full release. There's surely going to be more added as there is lots of the backyard that needs to be updated. As an example here, this entire upper right corner here does have some vegetation and some terraforming going on, but there's also lots of area up here that has nothing. And this area over here that was updated in the Bug Strike Back update, but has no creatures or insects or anything in it. We also have a little bit of an area over here, as well as down here on the deck. So there's lots of parts of the map that need to be populated. I can't imagine they're just going to copy paste and put all the same insects or all the same creatures we run into in the other parts of the yard over there. There may be some overlap, but I do believe there's going to be something new in that area. And one that's been heavily speculated about because of some items found in the game files is an Orchid Mantis. So on the screen right now, you're going to see some of the things found in the game files. I found these on the Grounded Discord. Someone posted pictures of them. You've probably seen them in other people's videos or possibly seen them in other people's videos. I'm not sure if they're on the wiki or not, but people have seen them. Essentially what there's a full set of armor as well as what appears to be a scythe. And this is the reason that these are speculated to be an Orchid Mantis specifically is because I believe the scythe is called something from the Blossoming Assassin, which would make one think that it's probably from an Orchid Mantis because the way Orchid Mantises operate, if you're not aware, is they typically hide on pink Orchid Mantis flowers, and then when their prey comes nearby, they will just lunge at them and just completely tear them apart. Pretty vicious attack, and honestly, if we got attacked by one of those in this game, it might be a bigger jump scare, probably would be a bigger jump scare than getting attacked by anything else currently in the game, even the wolf spiders. So this is the best evidence that an Orchid Mantis specifically is coming based on the coloration. Honestly, the coloration does look very similar to the Ladybug armor, but you will notice that there is like a pink whitish hue to parts of it, which would match up with what a pink Orchid Mantis looks like. So that's the best evidence of why it might be coming. But then again, there's lots of things that have been found in the game files for Grounded and many other games that were never added or were manipulated before they were added. So while there's things being in the game files makes it that there's a chance that it's going to come to the game. There's no guarantee. And as of now, to the best of my knowledge, there has been no confirmation or denial from Obsidian, the developers of the game, about whether or not this particular enemy would be added to the game. So aside from that, what would make sense? Would it make sense for a Mantis to be added to the game? And there's a lot of compelling evidence that says no, that this specific type of Mantis, an Orchid Mantis, would not make sense. And the reason for that is almost all of the current creatures that are in the backyard populate parts of the United States. The game, according to the developers from one of their live streams, takes place somewhere in the southern Midwest area. So I don't know if that's like Texas, Oklahoma, Tennessee, I don't know, somewhere down in that middle central area. It could be Louisiana, who knows. And that basically that area of the United States, that's where it's said to be taking place. I originally thought it was Maine for some reason. I'd heard that rumor going around, but I did ask one day and they did say it is the southern Midwest of the United States. And honestly, if you look at the current enemies in the game, so if we go over here to the crafting table and just go here and we'll just look at the armor, for example, and you'll notice all the different enemies that are in here. All of the enemies that you find in the game right now that you get parts from the ants to the basically roly-polies, the bees and everything, every single one of them, from my research, can be found in the United States. Most of them can be found within the area that was mentioned as where the game takes place, with the exception of two. One's going to be the diving bell spider, which according to the research I've done, and someone pointed this out to me because I did not know they were not in the United States, but I did go look and verify. Diving bell spiders are typically only found in I think it was North and Central Europe, something like that. It's definitely only Europe. They're not normally found in the United States. So the only way they'd be able to be over here is if someone brought them over here. And I don't know why you would do that and drop them in your koi pond. That would make no sense. Honestly, I did some more research on the koi pond to see which insects would actually be in there. And a well-functioning koi pond shouldn't have many insects at all because it should be filtered and stuff like that. So I know this one's at a house that looks like it's abandoned, so there's a chance that lots of bugs could be in there and whatnot. So that might make more sense. And of course, obviously the robots, because there's the little robots, the Tase Tees, Ruz Tees, Archers, System Manager, those things, Burgle, those things do not exist in real life. To the best of my knowledge, I'm not sure, but I don't believe they exist in real life. So besides the bots and the diving bell spider, every other enemy that you can go through here and find is going to be found in the United States, to the best of my knowledge. So the Orchid Mantis is not. There are lots of praying mantises in the United States, but the Orchid Mantis specifically is only found in Southeast Asia, specifically within rainforests. The reason for that is because in order for them to survive, they need a warm, moist, humid environment, which means it needs to be, from what I saw, it looked like it needed to be somewhere between like 75 and 95 degrees Fahrenheit, and it needs to have high humidity. Now, I don't know what the temperature is in this game, but it does get dark at night. I can't imagine that the temperature is staying above 75 at night. And while there is water on the ground, who knows how it gets there, because we never see water dropping. We can't even tell what the humidity is, right? So where would a rainforest be on the map? Now, honestly, the area that they put up here, that they've populated with all the vegetation, does look more like a dense forest. Perhaps they could call that a rainforest, but I mean, there's no water source in there. So unless they add a water source, and given the fact that it's in the Midwestern Southern United States, the Orchid Mantis habitat would not make sense for it to live here. The only way that it could possibly make sense for it to live here is if whoever lives in this house, whether it be Dr. Tully or whoever lives in this house or somebody nearby, perhaps purchased an Orchid Mantis specifically as a pet. That would be the only way that it would make sense for it to be in the backyard. Now, could that possibly happen? Perhaps. Maybe we're going to find some kind of terrarium or something that's going to be left in the upper yard, and the part that's not currently populated, maybe that's going to get added in the future. However, that seems kind of unlikely, because specifically, how long has it been laying there? That thing would need to be plugged in probably to be able to maintain its temperature, its humidity, and stuff like that. Having it lay in a backyard, it would seem pretty likely that in a very short amount of time, the environment within inside that terrarium will most likely start matching the environment outside of it. And also, the mantis, how would it even get food? Because if it's a pet, it's going to have to be fed. If it's locked inside its terrarium and can't get out, it's going to run out of food very quickly. If it's open and it can get out, the outside environment is going to start blending in there, and it's just not going to end up being the humid and hot, moist area environment that it needs. So if it is inside of a terrarium, it would have to be basically it's just got dropped there, and then maybe it can survive for a couple of days, and then we'll see what happens from there. So if that is even the case, and it can be in the backyard, where would it live? They're typically found on pink orchids, which would make sense because that's what they're named after. Because what they do is they hide on them. So I can't obviously show you because I'm not an orchid, but let's say that weed stem over here was a flower. Or actually, we do have flowers in the backyard. Like the purple flowers, you know what they look like most likely. They basically have the flower petals up there. It would basically be on one of the stems, and it would just blend in with the petals that are on it. In this case, they would be pinkish white. They can be other colors, but based on the fact of the coloring of the armor and the scythe that was shown, it would most likely be a whitish pink color. So it would have to blend in with that kind of flower. And what they would do is they end up basically just sitting there and waiting for prey to come by. Now, they typically eat bees, butterflies, moths, crickets, flies, and beetles, among other things. They will eat other things if they have to, but those are the things they primarily eat. So perhaps a bee flies by and it jumps on and attacks it. That's how that would work. There's currently no orchids in the game. Now, of course, the upper part of the yard has not been populated, as we know. There's possibly going to be a garden up there. There's been pictures where there's a hedge up there. That's not currently in the game. So there is a chance for orchids to be up there. For this thing to be able to hunt properly, it would have to blend in and camouflage, because that's how they hunt. They don't just run around hunting things. They hide, wait, and then they just stall. They just basically attack and jump on their prey. So there would have to be pink orchids also added to the game. And then in addition to that, while there are bees in the game and there are some beetles, there's not butterflies, although it has been mentioned that butterflies are being considered to be added in the future. It sounded like I don't think it was 100% confirmed, but the game director did say that butterflies were being thought about, and I got the inclination that we will probably see butterflies at some point in the future. There are no moths, there are no crickets, and there are no flies. So although, like I said, the Orchid Mantis could eat other things, a butterfly or a bee would make most sense, and if those are going to get added, and the beetles, obviously, that would make most sense. So what other types of mantises would actually make more sense? Well, I mean, I know I live in the United States. I have my entire life. I've lived in the state of Maryland, and I've seen plenty of mantises. I saw a mantis in my backyard last spring, I believe it was. The mantises in the United States are generally green or brown. I'm not sure if they can change color, but I do believe they can blend in. The ones I've seen have almost exclusively been green. So if that would make perfect sense. Having a green mantis in this green backyard where there's all this grass would make perfect sense because it would blend in very well. Even the brown would blend in with the dirt, right? And it would be able to hide and then just stalk its prey and attack. So that would make more sense to have a green or a brown mantis because they're indigenous to the United States. So that's basically all the evidence we have right now. And it, to me, having the work done, the artwork done on the armor and the scythe, why would you do that if you weren't going to put it in there? Maybe they just put in placeholders for colors. Maybe they have a plan, and maybe they're going to have some kind of logical explanation as to why that specific insect is added. Based on the research I've done for it, it would sound like a pretty mean fight. So I would imagine if there is one added, it will probably only be one. Perhaps it'll be like a second boss fight like the Broodmother, but much more dangerous because it sounds like they are very, while they look nice, and honestly, if you're a human at normal human size and you have them on your hand, they're not going to bite you. They'll just walk across and they're not going to bother you. If you're a centimeter tall and they're hungry and they can't find anything else, I wouldn't be surprised if they jump out and just annihilate you. The other thing that I want to mention is the fact that in that picture I showed earlier, the weapon that was shown appeared to be a scythe, and there are currently no scythes in the game. And I don't believe I've not seen any indication that they're going to add any new weapon types. So I'm not sure if they add that weapon, would it make sense? Perhaps it was a weapon that maybe they were going to do scythes early on, and they've since decided not to do that. Maybe they're just going to add one scythe and it's its own weapon and has its own thing. I mean, I don't know. So that's another thing that's leading me to believe that just because the art assets are in the game, just because somebody spent time on them, that doesn't guarantee they're going to be in the game. So as I'm sitting here right now, do I believe that an Orchid Mantis will ever be added to the game? From a logical perspective, I don't believe it makes any sense to have it in there. Like I said, the only things that I found in the backyard that don't make sense, of course, we can exclude things like the infected insects because obviously this is a fantasy sci-fi-ish game. There's no there are bugs that can get infected by different types of funguses and stuff like that, but the infected that's part of the storyline of the game. So excluding those, the regular bugs that are walking around the backyard, the crow, the creatures that are like wandering around and stuff like that, other than the robots, the only thing that doesn't fit in the backyard based on where it's located in the United States is the diving bell spider. So perhaps they'll just go out on a limb and say, we added the diving bell spider, that doesn't really fit, but now we'll just add this other thing that only lives in this one really small part of the world in a very specific climate, because let's be honest, a diving bell spider just lives in water, and it's, from what I saw, they're all over Europe. It's not like they're located in one little small area. The Orchid Mantis is only located in Southeast Asia, in rainforest, which is a very specific type of biome that does not currently exist. So unless they come up with some way of creating a rainforest biome, which means there'd have to be water, there'd have to be moisture, there'd have to be humidity, and they also add other things like the butterflies, and perhaps maybe they add crickets or something like that to that area of the map. The bees could obviously fly by, and there could be beetles. I didn't do the research on exactly what kind of beetles they eat, but unless they do all this stuff, and they also decide to add a new weapon type to the game, I just don't particularly see the Orchid Mantis coming. Now, I could be wrong. Honestly, I do hope they add a mantis at some point, because I've always thought, what would it be like to fight a praying mantis? Because they look ominous when you see one. I mean, I know as a human, they're not going to come over and just start attacking me, but I can only imagine being tiny and seeing a giant mantis just sitting there waiting to come and eat me. That would just be terrifying, more terrifying than, honestly, a spider. And to be completely honest, if they added mantises to the game, I'd hope that they may have actually go around. Maybe we could lure them over and have them kill the spiders for us. That'd be great. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Based on the evidence we have right now, there is some evidence that Orchid Mantis could be added to the game, but there's also lots of evidence that would prove that it doesn't make any sense. And right now I'm leaning towards it doesn't make sense unless they come up with some very unique situation where they can add it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you found the video interesting, make sure to hit the like button and consider subscribing for more videos just like this. If you want to support the channel even more, click the join button, the join card on the screen right now, or the join button below, or the join link down in the description below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.